Hey there, welcome to MassHire Lowell Career Center. Alongside Bob McIntosh, I'm Jim Foley. Bob, first thing we got to talk about is perhaps the most important thing that we can touch on at any point in the interview process, the resume process, and that's research.
Absolutely.
Why is research so important?
Well, research is important in order to get to better know yourself. So what I'm going to talk about is a little bit of research on oneself, which would be a SWOT analysis. I'm a huge fan of a SWOT analysis. I love it, yep. So S stands for strengths, W weaknesses, O opportunities, and T threats. I think this is really important to do. I'd like job seekers to do this in order to really boost their confidence. So in terms of the strengths, I'd like them to come up with 10 strengths. There are 3 weaknesses, and be honest, right? The opportunities that they're looking for in their next company, 3, and then, 3 threats. So, I think that's important, as well as doing labor market research.
Definitely something that we value at MassHire.
And one of the things I really think is important in terms of their labor market research is looking at job postings. I'd like them to look at as many as 10 job postings before they even start to write their resume. This is not even in the conversation yet, okay? And then when it comes to really getting down to writing the resume, researching the job ads for the key skills that should be written on the resume.
Yeah, so we take that first step, getting our research done, and then putting it on paper for the employer to see.
Exactly.
That resume, tailoring it, executing it in a way that we want the employer
Exactly.
to find our skills as efficiently as possible.
Absolutely. And so by looking at the job ads, looking at labor market sites like onetonline.org, other labor market sites, then they can craft a better resume. In other words, something that will really appeal to the reader's eyes, the employer, and then also something that will get through what's called the applicant tracking system, which is a process employers use to track their resumes. And then, when they need to call up resumes for a position, they'll type in a Boolean search or, skill words. So in terms of their resume, it's really important that, number one, it's easy to read. Readability in terms of paragraph length and the length of the bulleted items. If a job seeker has paragraphs that are 10 lines long, no one's going to read that, right? Whereas if the paragraphs are 3 or 4 lines at most, then more likely they're going to read the paragraph. Bulleted items, which should also include the accomplishment statements, keep them to about 2 lines at most. And speaking of accomplishment statements, make sure that you have a majority of accomplishment statements, mixed in with some major responsibilities. We're talking about, quantified results, percentages, dollars, numbers, and so forth.
Sometimes we need that extra step to get something in front of the employer, and that's where sometimes networking comes into play.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, after they've crafted their resume, I would call it the generic resume for now. After they've crafted their resume, they will start to network. If people network effectively, then their job search is going to be shorter. In-person networking, for instance, reaching out to the people they've worked with in the past, reaching out to people who are in their industry, share the same occupation. And then they want to sort of get outside their comfort zone and reach out to people who they don't yet know. This could be people who are at their target companies. Okay, they should have a list of target companies for which they like to work, and people at those companies.
Ideally, after the resume gets seen by the right people and it has that appealing context to it, the interview process would come next. How does one prepare for the interview?
Well, by studying the job ads very, very carefully, almost to the point where they can anticipate the questions that will be asked, and then also the company's website. I mean, that's an obvious way to learn about the company. But if the company is public, maybe read their press releases, their annual reports. I mean, it's so important to prepare for the interview, because in preparing for the interview, they're going to be more confident. And if they're more confident, then they should do better in the interview.
Yeah, I recall during an interview, I was prepared to answer a certain topic for that company because I had done research on that company, including a lot of their shareholder report information, which they were pleasantly surprised to hear I was prepared to talk about. After this interview process is done, there's a lot of anticipation and waiting and what to do, but the job seeker can actually take action. What would that next step be?
Well, you're absolutely right. The job seeker doesn't just sit back and wait for the employer to call, telling them that they're accepted for the position. No, they can take action, and they can, first of all, write a thank you note to each and every interviewer, maybe mentioning something of interest that was discussed during the interview, and I would say write a personalized thank you note to each interviewer involved in the process.
Bob McIntosh, thanks so much for your time. Super insightful stuff here for the job seeker in the job search process. We're looking forward to having more conversations moving forward.
Yep, absolutely. Great.
And for those of you watching as well, subscribe and follow to keep an eye out for what is coming soon. See you next time.